Greetings and welcome to this edition of
Positronic episode.
I'm Barry P. Cook, and I'm here to talk to you about the latest episode of My Adventures with Superman. It was called You Will Believe a Man Can Lie. As it starts, Lois wakes up staring at a picture of Superman that she has tacked to the bottom of the bunk above her, with Clark's glasses drawn on over the eyes, and she seems frustrated. Jimmy wakes up excited to go on a Sasquatch hunting trip with Clark that apparently they've been planning for a while, but Clark's not around. Jimmy then gets some type of message about the debunking of certain supernatural type stories Jimmy's been posting videos about. He then calls Clark, who's apparently planning to tell Lois that he likes her, but Jimmy says that he thinks she already knows. Then he talks with Lois, who's also going on the trip with them, and she asks Jimmy if he can help her corroborate the times when Clark went missing at times when Superman showed up. Meanwhile, some ne'er-do-wells attempt to pull off some kind of crime, but are interrupted by what would appear to be an evil robot. Clark wants to try to figure out who made the weapons that Livewire's been supplying to all the ne'er-do-wells. Lois thinks it's a great idea, but she wants to talk to Superman about it because she thinks he might know something more, or at least that's what she tells Clark. And she says she wants Clark to talk to him with her, because of course she knows. Anyway, Clark finally does tell Lois that he cares about her and is about to tell her more when he's interrupted by a police scanner and has to fly off as Superman. Jimmy gets roped into being Steve's photographer for a story which apparently involves him debunking supernatural stuff, which means that he's the guy who made the videos that Jimmy saw earlier debunking his own videos. Superman rescues a bunch of people and a cat from some stuff as Lois tries to catch up with him. She actually does catch up with him and handcuffs herself to him so that they can wait for Clark to show up, and he can't leave. Just before he has to try to stop a robbery in progress, and it was pretty funny because the bad guys were using their tech to throw tires and stuff at him, and he had to keep them from hitting Lois while being handcuffed to her. At one point, when he touches a piece of the tech that one of the bad guys is wearing, he gets a weird vision. The final villain of the group surrenders, saying, "Please don't kidnap me like the others," which leaves Superman confused. After Jimmy confirms that Steve is the one who's been trolling him, he and Steve have a conversation that doesn't go well, and Jimmy storms off. It turns out that the robot is actually a guy in a suit working for Cadmus, and he's taking the ne'er-do-wells because he's collecting all the tech back that Livewire stole, but the ne'er-do-wells all think it's Superman kidnapping them. Both Superman and the guy in the suit catch up with the last member of the ne'er-do-wells group that Superman was fighting before, and this leads to a confrontation between Superman and the Cadmus guy and two giant robots. Some of the weapons that the guy in the suit, who goes by the name Wilson, and who I think might be Slade Wilson, are able to hurt Superman, which is weird. But the fight ends when Superman has to stop fighting to fix a bridge and save a bus full of kids. And Cadmus decides not to take him out and prevent him from saving the civilians. During the fight, though, the general that's, I guess, running Cadmus taunts Superman about something that he says Superman knows about, but which Superman doesn't seem to know about. And it's connected, I think, to the visions that Superman's been having when he touches this stuff. But anyway, after all this, Clark meets up with Lois on the roof of the Daily Planet building where Superman had left her to go off and fight the bad guys so that she wouldn't get hurt. And he tries to pretend that he got hurt shaving to explain why his neck is bruised. But Lois isn't buying it, so she jumps off the top of the planet building, causing Clark to have to rescue her. She then reads him the riot act for lying to her by omission, saying that whatever it seemed like they might have been on a path to becoming, be it really good friends or a couple or whatever, it was no longer possible. Before the episode ends, Jimmy goes on the Sasquatch hunting trip by himself and encounters a giant gorilla in the woods who might be Gorilla Grodd. But we have to wait till next week to find out. Next week, of course, will be the season finale. But anyway, I liked this episode probably better than all the other one up to this point. Just because at this point you can see that Lois and Clark really do care for each other. Up to this point, it was clear that Clark cared for her, but not so much that she cared for him. But now, that comes into it. And I thought that was great. I thought that the action sequences were really good. I like the whole reveal where Lois jumps off the building and Clark has to catch her. I thought that was cool. During his conversation with Steve, Jimmy keeps talking about how he, Lois, and Clark are really tight and a unit and unified. And I thought that was cool because, that's how it's always been. And they really hadn't mentioned that up to this point. So I like that. And I'm intrigued by whatever this mystery is. Why does Superman keep getting those visions? What is the general talking about? Is that in fact Slade Wilson? Is it Gorilla Grodd? So I thought all of those things were great. I'm a little surprised that they've moved things forward so quickly. I mean, you know, in the comics, Lois never really knew. I mean, shouldn't say never. I think eventually she did, but for the longest time, she didn't know who Superman was. And, even in the movies, except for that brief period where she did know, she didn't know who he was in the original, Superman movies. That's more of a modern thing where Lois knows who Superman is. And I don't know, for a series, I thought, they gave it up early because theoretically this could go on for a number of seasons. And why would they go there in the first 4 episodes? Because she really figured it out last week. So I don't know. I thought that was weird. But on the one hand, I like it because of where they can take the story with her having that knowledge. So maybe that's why they did it early. It's just a little odd. It just feels weird that she knows just after they met. But anyway, that's really it. I thought it was a good episode. I like this show. It's quirky, and that's not really my thing in terms of animation, but I do like it. And I'm looking forward to the season finale. And I, of course, will be back to review that episode once it airs. I'm going to get out of here for now. Until I return, I wish you peace and long life.